types of bad parenting do kids not recover from? My foster parents were 18 when they found me as a 6-month-old wrapped in a blanket in a public bathroom. They were living at home and fought their own parents to take me in, and for over a decade were the most amazing people I have ever met. But then on my 12th birthday, social workers showed up to my door. They started asking these random questions about my foster dad touching me or laying hands on me, and no matter how many times I said no, they refused to let up. They told me I was lying. At one point full-on said I was a victim of assault, and the sooner I admit it, the better. I remember one of the male workers grabbing my wrist hard enough to make me wince, and my dad lunged at him. They took this as a sign of him being violent, and before I knew it, I was being stuffed into their car and taken somewhere. We drove for over 3 hours before arriving at this huge house. I was greeted by my new fosters, Peter and Jess, who looked mean and cold, and the first thing they did was wipe my phone clean. They showed me to my room, which was right next to their bio daughter Sophia's nursery. Sophia was 4 with really bad asthma. Family helps family, Jess said. You're older, so you'll be helping with Sophia. She then handed me her medicine schedule and showed me how to use the nebulizer. That night, they brought me to their country club gala. The designer clothing they dressed me in gave my skin an allergic reaction, but they just wrapped the rashes in band-aids and called it good. At the gala, they paraded me around as the foster child they saved from an abusive and neglectful home. When asked about the bandages, they sympathetically nodded that this was my old foster parents' doing. The next morning, I asked about being driven down to my old home just to get my things, and Jess slapped me. Say their name one more time, I'll make it worse. The next week, I started school. It was private and expensive, and I liked the kids there, but I couldn't be friends with them. Peter and Jess had taken my phone in case I tried to contact my parents, and after school, I had to take care of Sophia. I begged to be allowed to join chess club. It was on during lunch, not even after school. But Peter and Jess said no, because chess wasn't for girls. The thing that really made me sick was when Peter had his business friends over. They'd be playing poker, and Peter would make me wear this specific outfit he loved, a short pleated skirt with knee-high socks and this white shirt that was too small. I had to serve drinks and snacks while they stared and made comments about growing up so pretty. One day, I overheard kids at school talking about the state orchestra championships. My foster brother Joe's school was competing, and they always performed at the downtown pavilion. My heart raced because maybe I could see him, even talk to him and have him get me back to my parents. I asked Jess and Peter during dinner. I tried to make it sound casual, like something fun to do downtown, but Jess's face went cold. She said they were going to Aspen that week, and I needed to stay home with Sophia. When I told them I was scared to sleep alone in the house, Peter smiled and said everything would be fine because his poker friends would be staying the nights. My stomach dropped because I knew what that meant. That week was horrible. Sophia had breathing treatments every 4 hours, and Dad's poker friends insisted on sleeping in the same bed with me. They'd press themselves against me and place their hands on my waist, whispering how long they've waited for this. On day 4, while the house was alone, I took my chance. I grabbed Sophia's iPad and started searching Facebook. I found my parents, created an account, and sent a message. I told her everything from the medicine schedule to the friends who came over and begged them to help me. They responded within an hour saying they were stopped fighting for me and gathering lawyers. They promised we'd reunite, and for 3 days I had hope. But then Peter and Jess came back early. At dinner, Peter looked me up and down before taking out Sophia's iPad. He stared right at me and casually mentioned finding something interesting. My heart dropped. I tried to play dumb, but Peter dragged me upstairs by my hair. He locked me in the closet for the next 12 hours, leaving me without food or water. I woke up the next morning to strange wiring sounds. The closet door finally opened, and when Peter dragged me out, I saw the brand new cameras installed in every corner of the house, even my shower. Play stupid games, win stupid prizes, Jess said. Oh, and one more thing, she added, shoving her iPad in my face. It was an article about my foster parents, published this morning. Foster parents who had child taken away arrested for child sexual assault. How will you go to them now? Jess had this sick smirk on her face. Go on, text them again. I'm sure they'll respond from prison. I just looked at them and started softly crying, but they didn't care. 4 hours later, I was getting dragged to another charity event, forced to listen to Peter and Jess badmouth my parents. That night, I realized if nobody could save me, I had to save myself. I waited until they were asleep and ran. I made it to the police station still in my pajamas. I ran to the first officer I saw and started just rambling. At first, the officer was horrified until he heard me mention Jess and Peter's names. His face changed immediately. He excused himself to make some calls, and 20 minutes later, Peter and Jess were walking through the front door. The chief shook Peter's hand like old friends as they explained this was a misunderstanding from a hormonal, anxious teenager. No amount of explaining changed anything. Before I knew it, I was in the car with Peter and Jess. You're screwed now. Peter turned to me. If you thought before was bad, just wait. Full story on channel linked below.